Sorry.
No worries.
The audio
No.
thing. And I just sent you a text. I had to get the front door and I typed the text out and I hadn't sent it. So sorry.
No, I realized I was like, oh, 9. It was everything up to 9 o'clock, and then 9 o'clock escaped me, and I was like, oh, there it is. Yeah, I'm 4 minutes late.
Well, it's good to have a bit of relaxed time from time to time, right?
Yeah.
No?
And this is relaxed time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So.
In lieu of good work for future.
That's right. Yeah. Preparing for whatever, like preparing in it, taking the break, observing it, and like checking, where is it? Where are we? Where am I in relation to that? So all of that is, if I don't, I can get wrapped up, all consumed in it, and just end up forcing it.
Yeah, that's what happens to me very often. Less these days.
Yep.
A lot less, actually, which is really good. I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, it's progress, as they say. Progress.
Mm. So, what do you think you would like to do with our time today?
Yeah, typically in the guiding guides, I'd say that we work on the book.
That sounds like a great idea.
That's
I
what
would
I
like
say
that because I haven't been able to go to it now. What's happened to it?
Well, let's not go how to it. Yeah, let's go to use this time to, as if we speak to it, as we speak to the book, as we speak to the audience, as we speak to the reader. And part of that, in that speaking, is our demonstration, is our witnessing, is the examples of it, of how it is showing up in our situations, in our lives, that adds the color for the reader. And so we can pull out a part of it and say, oh, well, let's notice that, let's notice that, and let's notice that. So I've got a couple that I'm going to include in here that are wrapped into the morning sessions. Yeah. So far as happening this week. One with Annette, I just, she sent me a lovely voice message last night. And as she brought into existence for me, being. So it's like aware, you're being charged, ABC. It's that easy, simple, and silly. So in the being aspect of it, the being, as we know, we work here for, really, fort, which fort leads right into the charge, because we're being charged, and the fort leads right into the charged. So ultimately, it's like being what? Relaxed. That's the end of 4. Focused, observe, relax. Relax into what? Trust, truth, win. Yeah. And so she, like, that was a voice message yesterday, and she says, appreciate, not that like the outcome is better than she anticipated, but the importance is she's aware of how different she is today.
Yeah.
And in that relation, in that was the connections, like what have you continually to bring my attention into is the importance of that connected togetherness as we gather together, help with the breakthroughs, break freeze, and then scatter out and go do our thing. And then the intersections show up again.
Yes.
So,
And that's the kind of world that we want to live in. So we make sure that we sculpt that.
that's right. That's right. And in that demonstration of what's possible, when even when all the chaos is around us, we can still relax.
Yes. Yes.
And so new for me today is when I go into the charge, you and I have like danced around. The charge is all around the wiggle, wobble, the wobble, wiggle, giggle, wobble, wiggle, giggle. I call it, what do you want? Why can't you have it? What's in the way? Remove it, take the action. Yeah. So what do you want? Why can't you have it? Take the action. 3 steps in it. The underlying structure for me that was revealed, like came into existence today for me, was really that's trust, the truth, which is now, the moment. Trust is what you want. Truth is now. And then you win. And we win. We win. We get what we want. We win. We take the action 1 step at a time.
That's
One
right.
moment at a time.
That's right.
So in that is the new, not new, it's just a awareness, a perspective around the wobble, wiggle, giggle.
Mm. Mm.
As a structure, as the tensions, because the charge is the tension.
Mm.
The charge is either flowing, which is what we want it flowing, or it's resisting, which is our fighting, which is the pressures, which is the overwhelm, which is the not relaxing.
Mm. And unable to trust.
And unable to trust. It's like, trust what? Trust what?
What do you trust?
Whatever's in the moment of now. Whatever's there. And then in that is like, I trust that there's a choice.
I trust that there's a purpose to it.
Good. That too. And I'm powerful. I can overcome it when I'm aware. It's like I can choose anything out of it. So trust that I am powerful. I can create it. And I can create anything out of it. And so it is, what is the experience? What is the meaning of it? So I trust something from nothing and everything.
That's a really nice workaround, Jess. I love that. Yeah. That's really nice.
I trust the something that comes from nothing and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Another example of that today was sitting on the call, and it's I've got the sprinklers come on every morning while I'm sitting there. So I watch these ones that don't work right. And it's like, there's gotta be a leak underneath the ground that I can't see. And so intuition went around and it didn't appear the way I thought the answer would appear, but there was no way could I ignore the way it showed up.
Okay.
Meaning it's like, which one has the problem? That one. Ooh, I don't trust it. Not until I dig it up will I know. And then my whole mind went into the whole digging. Well, you sure it's that one? Are you really believing that? Are you trusting that? It's like, where did that come from? Blah, blah, blah. Like the mental mind just putting all sorts of stuff in the way. It's as good as any place to start.
It is. Exactly. Exactly.
And
Totally.
So what if it isn't the one?
Yeah. Then you just try the next one.
Yeah. Then I go to the number 2 one, which appears to maybe be the one. It's like I couldn't tell which one it was. But it was interesting. I started there. I went to the next one. I went to the next one. I was like just mentally doing it, right? Is it that one? Is it that one? Is that? And then it went like, yes, that one. Before I even got to it. And I was like, then I didn't even have to go on. Right? I didn't even go to the next ones in the order in the series of them. It was like it stopped there. It's like, oh, it's got to be that. But so what if it isn't?
Hmm.
How much meaning I'm giving to it.
Yeah. So it's that awareness of how we use the intuition and how we can still have those patterns of needing to be right
Yes.
exist, right?
Yes. I didn't have to tell
that,
anyone about it. I didn't have to share it anywhere. It's not like I have to be right.
Mm.
It's just like you say, it's that pattern that is so instilled in us that we do.
Mm. And that's why, that's why I always, well, not always, but I would say, I don't know, the second half of my life, just started to realize that it's really difficult to distinguish and to discern between ego and pure heart, I would say. And that came from watching people in spiritual communities. It's very tricky. Yeah.
I keep like, so I'll go to career with it. I keep getting this big, it has to do with the customers. Like, so it has to do with customers, big organizations, big billion-dollar companies, right?
Mm.
And it's like, I may like, I'll only know after the fact, but it's like something's happening, right? In the industry, something's going on. And I mean, it appears to me a sale, right? To say a current customer looks like to be selling, probably looking at selling, getting out and selling it to our other customer. Just, I don't have any, there's nothing, no grounding to it. Just a sense to it. Yeah.
Mm.
And so it's like I'm go game. And so my buddy's over there. And if it is the case, my buddy's in the middle of driving it. Now he can't tell me, but what I can do is share information as if I'm going about ready to go tell this to them. Give me a reason to wait.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Didn't like that one. So it's not that way. What was there obviously in the first part was here's your opportunity, and just leave it at that. Good. But the information is there for him to go into it. So it is to still send what I was going to send, just in a different frame of it.
Mm. That can make a big difference.
It is. And you've got all the moves. It's which move.
Mm.
And I make it doesn't matter. So in that is the trust.
Mm. So what's contained in that, also what comes to me when we are in those kinds of positions, is what I do believe our values guide us a lot. But they can also put us into conflict, right?
Yes. And that's conflict is not flowing.
Yeah. So trust demands discernment. And choice. You choose where you put your trust.
Oof.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's easy to say, well, okay, you just trust life, sure.
Yeah.
But they always layers, and the pressure is on when you're dealing with something that impacts society to such a huge degree. It doesn't get more pressure than that, or if you're dealing, I mean, you think about it in many ways, you know, when people are dealing with other people's lives in a critical situation, like you have to trust your choice, because often you've got to make that decision like really quickly, but you've built up the muscle for the skill to make those kinds of discernments, and then you have to trust yourself.
And so let's just assume, like, just starting out in this practice, and that pressure of making bills, paying bills, making enough money, all of that on top of it makes it extremely hard to trust, because what are you trusting is the past experiences of how it always works.
Yeah,
So there's no room to trust something new.
that's right. That's right. I know. Yeah, go back to that structure of when you're dealing with humans, it's complicated, right? Because there's so many, there's so many, as you would say, coordinates, that one's got to weave and dance between and dance with.
And I think when we can reduce the amount of coordinates, we are better.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So how do we go from that, from acknowledging the complexity to trusting the simple structure?
Continual practice.
Yeah.
Practicing something, right? Something. And I think part of that practicing something is noticing automatic, like awareness, the always starting position. Anytime of coordinates, it's always around starting, because every moment of now is a new starting opportunity. Where is my energy going, wanting to go, pulling to go, and just pull up to observe that.
Yes. And notice the charge then, right?
Yep.
I mean, when you go up, you look down and you look at what's the charge that's going on. That's helpful.
Yep. The charge always, it's easy for me to, like, I think the charge, we always want a positive charge. It's like that is, I can't, let's just assume that it's true. I think people would prefer positive over negative and more in their life anyway.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that it's positive or negative. The point is, if you want it to be negative, then notice you're negative more. It's like what the importance is your choice.
That's right.
Which one do you want more of? Because what you are experiencing is the one you're playing. It is your instrument that you're playing already, and you're just unaware. We are just unaware that we're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I think as we dive into that to notice it, what we'll notice is that we're giving it out there to something else is causing us it all. rather than seeing, oh, it is us. We are the creators of it. We are choosing it. We are making that happen. And we practice to stop that momentum, that giving it away, and start choosing what it is that we would rather want, rather have, rather experience. Now that shift, we don't know that's where trust comes in, is in that shift,
Yes.
because we stop putting energy to where it was going and we are moving into something unknown, and it is going to turn out different.
Yeah.
And in that difference, you could worry like crazy about it or allow it to be there.
Exactly. Exactly. And what comes up for me also with this is that sometimes a negative charge is required to be able to get to a next step.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
So you make it, you choose to be okay with the discomfort
Yes, that
in lieu
is,
of what what you see will eventually kind of take place.
that's right.
Just I just need to check something that Bruce got his car keys back. Sorry.
Perfect. No worries. I will get some coffee.
Okay. Okay, good luck, hun. I hope you'll be okay.
Yeah.
All good?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
So I was also thinking now, I mean, I had a piece of paper under my desk that's been lying there for the past few days. And it's got notes on it. So I picked it up now. And it's one of the notes that I made when we were working the program. When I was working it with Ginny in terms of what we're doing. So it's got this structure: focus, choice, alignment, personal power, lost, unhappy, embraced grace and have direction, emotions, always have option to choose what we want to experience in ourselves. Choice is equal to power, which is our rocket fuel. It's just so funny, that I just, like, it's been lying there under my desk because I keep on picking it up and then the wind blows it off. And I don't look at it, so when I picked it up now, I thought, well, look at it. What is it? And that's what it is. Anyway.
Look at that again. And in that, it was like, as you were going through every one of those, we could look at from what is it we want and what
Yeah.
don't we have, or what don't we want?
Yeah. So Jess, with that thing, it's still always, I always come back to, it's so funny for me. So you go with that, what's in the way. And I go to, what have I got that can help me to get there?
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting for me that, because I think, because I thought about it, I thought, why do I go to that? And then I thought, because what's in the way for me sometimes is too big to think about. So then I go to, well, what have I got?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's that thing of both and. Right?
Yeah. Both, and what I think, like the structure that's there, it's both is a side of the reality, the current reality. It is the truth of what's there.
Exactly.
I do it to help see my wobble. Because once I got my wobble, I know what it is.
So you go to, what is there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting. Oh, this was the other thing that I was thinking about in all of this is your word clarity. How that helps when we get clear on something. And Sadhguru's thing about clarity is that you don't need confidence. It's clarity that you need. Because confidence and the ego, they're very closely entwined.
So clarity and what are entwined?
Clarity is about seeing things the way they are, which is, again, what is now.
Yep.
Right? What's going on now.
And our tendencies are to avoid the now, what's happening, the emotions of the current reality of what's right there now, are, no matter what it is, for whatever reason, we want to get away from it.
And when we do that habitually, we end up with what we were talking about yesterday. You end up then with your old patterns because you're not able to sit with those primary emotions that would set you free.
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult. It's not easy.
No, it's unaware that there's multiple points of view because we get so used to just selecting one. It's that same one. That same one again and again, wondering why it isn't any different. So much as and so whatever day that was, Sunday or whatever day, we were Joe brought in the seriousness. Yeah. And in this seriousness was, we had him just explore the associations, 5 words that were around seriousness.
Yeah.
And it was in the negative sense. It was in the negative charge of it, to explore the negative of it. And then to explore the opposite, the positive side of it. He comes in this morning Says, I didn't realize how much that was driving my life.
Oh, that's amazing.
He says, but now I see it. He says, I can go back and see how deep it is in everything I do.
That's amazing. I'm so happy for him.
Yeah, it was there was so much breakthrough, break free freedom in the voice of it.
Yeah.
Because of the power of awareness.
Exactly. Exactly. That's beautiful. I'm really happy about that. That's a very big one for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what's so interesting for me is that my observation and experience of him at times, a lot of the time though, for me, and I mean, I don't get to interact with him a lot. But it was very much that what the experience that I had of him was is that it's like he would dance around what there really was, and then bring in play with that dance, which others could dance to, but I've never felt that his energy was connected in that dance. And the little bit of time that I was with him in the group on Sunday, I could feel more and more of that connection coming in. He's been through a lot. He's a brave warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, it is that. It's that demonstration that people have been through worse and less, and all of us have been through our versions of it, degrees of it. What's unique, not unique, but what is the same is that we can all move through it.
Mm.
It's how we approach it. It's how we look at it. And when we hear others, how they're transforming through it is the best word. It gives them hope, gives them clarity, gives them demonstration of what's possible for them.
Mm. Mm. And that's so big.
I think that becomes the connectedness that fuels
The genius.
and the change, the growth, the potential.
Yes. And it protects the ember of the fire, right?
Mm. Yeah, protects the passion.
Mm.
Right. What would we recap today as? Or whatever's next. There's the transition space.
I think the recap is how to be, or a way to be, or a way to find how to be.
Being presence.
Mm. Mm.
Being choice. Being. It's awareness of being. Being only happens in now.
Mm.
It is the truth. It is the only thing we have.
So sometimes we don't, I mean, we have it, I agree with you, it's there, but it's to find it. I think that's what we struggle with a lot. And for me, that's where awareness, observe, and relax into what you're observing, or relax into yourself and observe.
Oh, how does that? How do you do that? What do you observe about yourself? What are you focused on?
That's, for me, that's where identity comes in, right? Where are you placing your identity?
So that's something
what
you
makes,
ask.
yeah, that's what makes it the biggest difference for me. That's when I notice if I'm looping between the personality or the self-conscious and the unconscious. If I'm in that loop, then I'm in my old childhood pattern.
No, you're pressing pause to observe.
Mm-mm.
No.
No, there's no space for pause in that in that loop. But I get what you're saying. When I bring awareness, then I pause. Yeah.
I've noticed sometimes what I will do is, what is my tendency? What's my pull? Where do I normally go? Where am I going? And that's where the pause for me is like, oh, if I notice that, then I can pause that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But it all comes down to noticing the positive and negative version of it.
Yeah.
So if it is something that I could, like my biggest awareness is looking everything as positive and negative.
Yeah.
And neutral, as if the most space exists there. Positive is what I want, and negative is where I spent most of my time.
I know. And just for me, that neutral space, that's the space of alignment before we take the action, before we make the choice.
Yeah. It allows for all the information or more of the information.
Yeah, exactly.
The bigger picture.
Yeah. So
the whole path before it splits.
Yeah. Yes. So as we were talking now, also what also came to me was that awareness of where you've placed your power.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and this morning I had a comment from a very dear girlfriend. And she said that all the betrayal that she's experienced with men has just been activated up again. And there has been enormous amount of that. And then I said to her, remember that when we experience betrayal, there's some truth to it, yes. But the other truth to it is where did we place our power at the time? And where are we placing our power in the re-experiencing of it?
I hear that betrayal, where did the power go? It triggers for me to observe, where did my expectations take me?
That's right.
What did I expect? What did I put on them? How I wanted them to react, respond, produce. And then I'm blaming them for them not doing it that way.
That's right. And how the hell are people supposed to know if you don't communicate it?
Expectations.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We say, oh, there's a right way to do it, but that's us saying it.
Mm-hmm. And I still go to that, Jess, it's important for us to know what it is that is right for us. But if we don't communicate that's the sculpting of relationships, is the communication of what it is that you know that you need, or not knowing what you need, but just knowing that what's coming at you is not what works for you.
Yes, because so it doesn't work for me because of what I'm interpreting it, expecting it. So those two aren't matching up. And so our tendency is to put the blame out there on them, keeping our fixedness to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So the structure, we hold on to our structure and want that to change out there.
Mm. Mm.
So we become fixed and expect it all to change out there.
Yeah.
Rather, that can be whatever it wants to be out there, and I can choose whatever's in here. How much more room is in that?
Yeah.
Both ends become free, and then we can say, well, what is true? And that can become a locked point. For now, it doesn't mean that it's always, it will be that same thing next. Just observe what is the truth and trust the truth.
Mm.
Just by asking the question, where am I going? What do I want? What's next? Is a could question.
Yeah. Yeah. And that opens so much space, as we've said before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like that's kind of a key thing. How do you open space?
It is the key.
How do you make allowance?
So a metaphor.
Mm.
Back when we used cannons. So cannonballs, they had all these cannonballs that they needed to dispose of.
Right.
And they'd pay big money for whoever could dispose this. There's a big pile of them, and said whoever could get rid of them, right, would get this money. So a guy come in there and said, all right, give me a day. No way, can't do it. No way possible. Big money to do it. Says, well, okay, well, let me try. The next day they come back and they're all broke. He filled them with water, sealed it, and let them freeze.
Brilliant.
The space, knowing what to do with the space.
That's right. Yeah.
Just like my project. Just like your project. That space is the possibility to it. Doesn't mean everyone sees it. And just because no one sees it doesn't mean that it's not there.
Exactly.
That's what the trust is.
Yeah. That's that Zen koan, right? If the tree falls and nobody is in the wood, does it make a noise?
Of course it does.
But maybe it's not a noise, it's just a sound.
You don't know. That's that observer, right? To the observer effect on it all, which is exactly what we're doing. The power of the observation. Probability cloud until it's observed, which is the power of space. So we can observe what we want, which is what we do. Whatever we observe is what creates it.
I mean, for me personally, that's why I needed a spiritual path to speak to life in the way that yoga and Buddhism did. It gave me a structure that had a lot of space to then look at what life is about or could be about, put it that way.
And the awareness of that is what I created it to be. Doesn't mean it has to continue like that. Or that it should, would, or could.
I know it's just made, when as I was talking, I was thinking, of Kayla's. And for her, she needed to go and study physics. That's what she needed to do to make sense of life. And that's why she loves math so much as well. Patterns.
That's right. And probably still no idea what it's for yet.
But it's that feeling of there is a way to do this.
There's some calling, some genius that's calling in to say that's pay attention to that, go here, do this. That tension between trust and truth. and trusting. Don't need to know.
Yes.
Well, what a great session.
Thank you just so much
you.
again.
Yeah, thank you. I don't think I'll be able to hold one on Friday. So we're going to be traveling down to the beach. So I won't have a
Oh, wonderful.
mastery session on that. Celebration for a graduation for a nephew. So we're going to the beach for the weekend with all the cousins and stuff. So that's where I'll be traveling with that one.
That's great. That sounds so good. Did I hear you correctly when you said that school is out for the kids
Yeah. Yeah.
for the summer?
Yeah, we get out early, start late, or start early. So get out early, start early. And so Troy's in summer school already. He's got 10 days of that. And then Audrey and him will start another session. So
And then when do they go back?
about the 16th of August.
Okay. You have much longer break than what our kids do.
Oh,
Our
really?
kids only have 2 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have July, August. They go back 1st, 2nd of September.
End of June is when they get out then?
They get out at the end of June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate how we start so early, but just it is what it is.
It's nice to have off now.
Yeah. But they're both summer school. So Troy's there now. Audrey's got a few days off.
That's great. Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful. So